There's a new Lauri Markkanen rumor. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, before we go, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, especially if you're a Jazz fan or an NBA fan. Make sure you like and subscribe. All right, let's talk about this new rumor. This comes from the Hoop Collective podcast. No one is more locked in and more connected than Brian Windhorst and Tim Bontemps and Tim McMahon. And Tim McMahon especially with the Utah Jazz. On this latest one, you can go listen to it. It's about the 7-minute mark where they talk, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. I'll just kind of summarize here. Bontemps at around the 7-minute mark talks about Lauri Markkanen, and here's what he says. He says, "I'm very curious to see after the way last year went, which he did not play greatly." They're talking about Lauri Markkanen. Did not play great. Obviously, the Jazz had intentions to be at the bottom of the standings. He is not seen in the same light as he was coming off of that first season under Will Hardy. I'm curious about him playing with the Finnish national team. They got a chance to make a run in this tournament. I'm curious if that's a springboard for him to come back with the Jazz and look like the player he was a couple years ago. Because if he is, A, it's obviously good for the Jazz to have him playing like that again, and B, he becomes an interesting guy to watch in the trade market over the next year to see if this is the time to move on from him if he looks like an all-star and they're trying to go in this youth direction. There it is. We've heard this from Zach Lowe. We've heard this from Bill Simmons. We've heard this from Jake Fisher. Now we're hearing it from Tim Bontemps. They're all hearing this same thing, guys. And I know there's a lot of Jazz fans who love Lauri Markkanen who don't love this. We're going to talk about it anyway. This is a reality. It may happen. It really just depends on if his value goes high. It sounds like the Jazz are very much committed to this youth movement, which we already know because that is what they've been doing by moving all the veterans already. Austin Ainge is not messing around. We know that he's willing to make those moves. He's not going to be afraid to make a big move if it's the right one, not only for the offer they get back, because Utah's not going to trade Lauri Markkanen for nothing. They can still hit their goals this year with him on the team, but they are also going to make sure that they kind of have their overarching goal as a team, which is, like Bontemps mentioned, potential youth movement, which is what we've seen. Utah is not going to deviate from that. The good teams stick to a plan that they know will work, and they stick to it, and it eventually bears the fruit. Now, after Tim Bontemps says that, McMahon adds, but I think he has to play like that to restore his value in the trade market for that to be a conversation because of the contract he got. I mean, he got every single penny they could give him in a renegotiation and extension. It's a big, big contract. Now, this one's interesting to me because I listen to Bontemps, or not Bontemps, but I listen to McMahon whenever I get a chance, and he has been pretty reticent to talk about this type of thing, and he was the one that was saying for a long time that the signing of Lauri Markkanen last year was going to happen. I mean, he was the one saying, guess what? It's going to happen. He's locked in with the Jazz. For McMahon to talk like this is a big deal, guys. That is the one to me that's like that's the canary in the coal mine of a potential trade, is McMahon talking like this. Basically, what we're seeing from here is that is the plan. And we probably should have known that already from what we had heard from Zach Lowe. But to have McMahon and Bontemps and all these guys talk about it, and Windhorst didn't refute it either. He's the most plugged in of all of them. He doesn't say anything. Remember, he's the one that's like the what's going on in Utah guy. He doesn't refute it. So, guys, this is something to watch all season long. And for Utah, it's really kind of a win-win situation, or I don't know if it's a win-win for Markkanen. Basically, if he plays really well, it just helps the Jazz, like Bontemps said, but also makes him much more tradable. The contract he got is huge, and he did not play well last year. I don't care about any sort of context. If you're making $46 million a year, you should be worth $46 million a year, regardless of who else is on the floor, right? Now, if he gets up to an all-star value and he matches the value of his contract again, then there are plenty of star-laden teams that might want him and hopefully have good picks they can give the Jazz that can help them continue to grow into a youth movement. The thing is, the contract for Lauri Markkanen is $46 million, which makes it harder to trade. You have to be within $5 million of that contract to make it work. Now, I've had people in the comments mention, well, you've got to have a salary floor. That is not a problem, guys. The salary floor is the last thing that I'm worried about, and I'm sure that the Jazz are worried about, because for one, to make this trade, you have to bring on salary. You have to make the salaries match. So, for example, a team that we know for a fact had interest in Markkanen last offseason was San Antonio. A Harrison Barnes, Devin Vassell trade with the Jazz fits. And Utah would get two different prospects that probably don't help them as much as Markkanen that would fit into their system. Now, I don't know if that's the type of trade Utah wants to make. You know, Vassell is a good shooter. Harrison Barnes is an older veteran, and they probably don't want him taking minutes from guys like Taylor Hendricks and Ace Bailey. But that's just an example. If Utah makes a trade, whoever they make the trade with, they will get those contracts back that will fit onto their team. That's the tricky part of all of this. It's difficult because it's such a big contract. You're going to bring something on, and if you're trying to go youth movement, what we know that the Jazz have been doing has been trying to bring back expiring deals. And so really, if we're trying to read the tea leaves here, that's what we should all be doing. In fact, I give you all a homework assignment. Go on to Basketball Reference. Go on to Spot Track. I'll do it too. We need to look up all the players that fit Lauri Markkanen's contract, but that are also expirings, because that makes it a little bit more likely to happen. If, Utah may, and the thing is, Utah may decide to just keep Markkanen and are fine with his contract that has 3-4 years on it left, but that's also a little bit of value for the other team. They know they'll get Markkanen for at least 3 seasons. And because Markkanen is a great shooter, great off-ball player, it's kind of the good and the bad of Markkanen. He's not very good with the ball in his hands. He's not a good pull-up three-point shooter, but he is an exceptional catch-and-shoot three-point shooter. So he plays extremely well off of a superstar, something that the Jazz don't have yet. Now, maybe that's Ace Bailey. The Jazz likely get that player next year in the draft with Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson, and AJ DeBonsa. Markkanen can go to any star team and fit in and contribute right away. It's what makes him super valuable. Yes, he's expensive, but he does fit. It's kind of like, the trade that kind of maybe we should think about a little bit was the Michael Porter Jr. and what was his name? Was it Cam Johnson? I forgot. I think it's Cam Johnson. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. But anyways, that trade that Michael Porter Jr. goes to Brooklyn, that might be the type of thing you're looking at. And if Utah can figure out some way to make all the contracts fit, there's probably some sort of cap wizardry they can do to make this work. But that's the thing to watch, guys. Also, I don't know if I'm going to make a full video about it, but shout out to John Tonji for getting signed by the Jazz. 2-way contract for Tonji. Looked pretty nice we only saw him for like 2 games in Summer League, but the first game he was like 6 for 8 from 3. And then in his second one, he went like 0 for 8 from 3. So we'll see if he'll play in the G League, and we'll see how well he does there. But it's just nice to see him. He's 6'5", scored efficiently in his final season at Wisconsin. If he can defend and shoot the ball and become a nice player, there's no reason why he can't develop into someone really nice. Can he be consistent and be a good shooter? He looked really good that first game. The second game he was off. So we'll see. Guys, trade rumors are coming. We're going to cover all of them. Sorry. The truth, sometimes the wicked take the truth to be hard, as the scriptures say. And we're going to talk about the truth no matter what it is. Like and subscribe to the channel, guys. Shout out to the members. Shout out to all the All-Stars. I appreciate you guys immensely. We're getting closer to the season. Eurobasket starts tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to watch Markkanen, but we'll have to talk about it a little bit. Is he going to rehab his value? Is he going to become the trade target of the upcoming season? Probably, according to all these national, well-regarded reporters. All right, guys, like and subscribe to the channel. I will talk to you next time.